Hi guys, this is Madhav. I've been doing a lot of learning with ChatGPT recently. I'm making this quick video showing some of the tips I found in making it work for me. Number 1. Don't just blindly ask it questions when you can't check if the answers are correct. When I first got started with ChatGPT, I was like, this is amazing, I want to learn all about biology because I don't know anything about it. Well, a very long number of questions later, I finally started realizing, hey, some of the things it says are inaccurate, and I can't go back and check all of this stuff that I just learned because I don't know enough about biology to do it. So if you're going to use ChatGPT, start with an area that you're more familiar with, things like getting intuitive explanations for what you've already studied. Number 2, ask it follow-ups like you would with a human. Let's say I wanted to ask it a question about how vaccines are made, and it tells me like this big, long, complicated thing, but I don't understand some part of it. I literally can just quote the exact thing it said, even if it was way above in the conversation, and ask it a question about that particular section, ask it to explain itself, just like with a human being. Often you'll find that you'll need to ask it to be more specific or give examples or explain, the thought process a little bit more, because it'll often skip steps. So really try to be specific about, the exact precise quote that you need more explanation on. Number 3, ask it for interpretations instead of exact facts. For example, you might ask it to give an intuitive explanation for some precise concept, like I do here for a math formula. There, it can give you a little bit more of a creative response, something more unique, compared to just asking it to just prove an equation, for example. When you're looking for exact answers, there's one proof for a certain math equation, let's say, it's very unlikely that it's going to do a better job than a professional mathematician. But if you're asking for an interpretation, an intuitive explanation, something a little bit more open-ended, that's where ChatGPT could be more useful. Number 4, tell it exactly what you are and aren't looking for. Let's say you want to learn about different types of vaccines. What you could ask for is, let's say, a nice table to show the information. And if you're asking for such a table, let it know exactly which fields you want. You want benefits and drawbacks and examples. And it will give you exactly what you expect. You'll have a table with, nice headers, benefits, drawbacks, examples. Let's say you're looking for a math proof. Initially, it was giving me equations that were kind of hard to, get around. So I asked it to just redo what it did, but give me LaTeX formulas that I could render with proper math equation style. If you want something like diagrams, you can tell it, hey, make me some diagrams. It's not going to do the best job, it's not the greatest, because it can only output text, but it'll do what it can. Also, conversely, make sure to tell it what you don't want. One time I was asking it to tell me about this type of algorithm that's based on immune systems. That's why it's called artificial immune system. But it kept on telling me about real, immune systems. So I had to tell it, leave out those details about biological immune systems. So be very precise in telling it exactly what you want, how you want it formatted, which details to leave in and which ones to leave out. On a related note, number 5, actually use the buzzwords. If you want a very particular algorithm, we want to have details about that, state the exact name of the algorithm. You need to get it exactly right in terms of the most common term that you see on the internet. The reason is that it's trained to give you words that are associated with those particular terms. So you really need to make sure you get the key word in there that will help it figure out which sources to put content from. Number 6, use it not just to get information, but to get feedback. Give it examples of your versions of explanations, give it examples of code you wrote, equations that you created, and ask it to give you feedback on certain questions. When you do so, you have to be very precise. In this example, I tell it what the example is that I'm showing, in this case some code that I wrote. I tell it what do I want feedback on, which things do I want to improve, and then I tell it how should you tell me, or the answer, how should you tell me how to improve. Here are some instructions on how you format your answer. So in this case I requested it to create some code for me and format it correctly, and it did that. Very nicely formatted code. But you have to be very specific in the prompt you give it. And finally, number 7, use it to build your Jenga tower of knowledge. By that I mean, when you're going through any textbook, research paper, whatever, you're always going to come across concepts that you don't know, some background information that you're missing. And it's really hard to go about the internet trying to piece together all the blocks to figure out what you do and don't know. That's where ChatGPT is very convenient. So let's say I was reading this paper here about how vaccines are kept cold so that they can stay effective. Well, anytime that I had a question about, let's say, why do vaccines even need to be kept cold, the research authors, they won't talk about basic things like that because they're assuming that experts are reading their paper. So I need to ask ChatGPT about these building blocks that I need before I can get to understand the paper. And as you ask it about one thing, you might realize, hey, I need you to be more specific about another thing. Or it might bring up a term in its explanation that you don't understand at all. So now you need to, go back and learn that. And you can, try to understand jargon that the research papers or textbooks don't explain. You could go back to fundamental physics when you realize, wait, I don't even understand how things are kept cold in general. So this is like a way that ChatGPT can help you work backwards to understand the parts that you're missing. And that's where it's very uniquely valuable and fast. So those are my tips for using ChatGPT for learning. It's a powerful tool, we're lucky to have it, but keep in mind that it can often be wrong. At the end of the day, it's just putting words together in a sentence that are likely to go together. It doesn't know what the real truth is. So use it as a side aid instead of your main source of knowledge. Check the things that it's telling you, but if you're able to do it, if you're able to use it well, you can learn a lot faster than you could before.